And we are back, and we have one of my favorite people in the events industry, Paul Deventer from MPI, CEO. First time on the show, which is hard to believe because we've been doing this for a while. I'm like, every time we need to get Paul on the show. But it's a good time for you to be on the show because there were a lot of announcements today about MPI.
There were, and I am so excited to be on the show. Thank you for everything you're doing to bring awareness to the industry. You've done a great job in a short period of time building up your followership and getting the message out, and really appreciate it. So it's sorry we haven't been here before, but I'm excited to be here now.
No,
and let's not make it the first time.
Yeah. So tell us, there was some news announced this morning. First of all, some news that came out a couple weeks ago about a new hire. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that.
Well, I'm smiling ear to ear. I'm so happy. We have MPI's mission, our core mission, is professional development of individuals in the industry. So the whole focus on how you bring curriculum, how you bring concepts and ideas to this community through live events or other channels is our day-to-day focus. And we've been looking for a period of time now for an individual who brings a passion for education, industry knowledge and experience and credibility, great leadership, who also understands what it means to be a planner. Right. And we've called it a unicorn search because it's so unique. And after 6 months, we renamed it the Pink Unicorn Search. And what we found was an amazing person and great leader who really is the unicorn that fits this role. We've brought on board Annette Gregg. Mm-hmm. Annette, the last 3 years, has been working with PRA. So she's been working with the DMC, running the Western region for them. She's had 2 different DMO experiences. She's worked in Monterey and San Diego, which is where I live. Right. She has been a corporate planner. She ran LPL Financial's planning organization, so huge team there, big budget, a lot of great experience on the planning side. And all through that, though, the one thing that's been consistent, she's a passionate educator. Yeah. She's been a professor at San Diego State. She's very involved in their hospitality school. She's developed her own educational content and run her own programs. She loves it. She's creative. She's exciting. She's a different thinker, and she just gets stuff done. So we can't be more thrilled.
So what exactly is Annette's new role with MPI?
Well, we're calling it the Vice President of Experience. And that's because we were trying to think of what is our industry all about. It's about experiences. Live events are experiences. And what we do is provide education through live events or online. So it's, what is that experience for our community? Why does someone want to be part of MPI? Why do they want to engage with MPI? It all comes around with that experience, whether it's directly with our staff, mm-hmm. our other members, and our entire community. So that's what we've named it. In the immediate, as she comes on board, she'll immediately take over all of our academy resources and functions, which is our educational development, both for our ongoing certificate programs as well as what goes into any of our events. Right. And she'll take over our entire events team. So she'll be charged with designing, imagining, and the operations of those events.
So like not a lot.
Not a lot to start with. I believe that she has amazing capacity. We don't want to overstretch it to start, but there's a natural expansion of that responsibility as well.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
And I'm personally invested because I work with you guys with the Academy. I've created a certificate course mm-hmm. with you. And I've known Annette for a couple years now, so I'm very, very excited. I was just in Arizona at MPI Arizona Chapters mm-hmm. EduCon with Annette, and we got to see each other speak, and so it was a really unique opportunity, and it had just been announced. Yep. So we had a great discussion, and I'm very excited about it, and I think the MPI community as a whole should be very excited about this.
We just announced it a couple hours ago. I haven't seen the reaction yet from the community, but my assumption is they're going to be thrilled.
Yes.
Well, so we made the other announcement a couple hours. That was 2 weeks ago.
So tell us the unique part about hiring Annette.
Yeah, so that's where we get it. It creates a few dominoes. Annette was the chair-elect for MPI's International Board taking the seat on January 1st, 2020.
Right.
So she had to resign that position, and we had a lot of discussion around this. It was she could have a great impact as the chairman of MPI, but for a year.
Right.
And she can have a lasting impact as a member of the MPI team for as long as she wants. And I think her engagement with our staff and our community in that role is going to be much more meaningful. So it's a loss for the International Board.
Right.
It's a loss for our community because she was set up to be a great chair. We were all excited by it. She had to step down, so that means we have a vacancy in that chair position for next year. Blessedly, one of my predecessors actually built into our governance bylaws a methodology and a policy to how to address this.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing we did. Do we have actually rules around this?
Or
do we have to make it up?
Right.
So we didn't have to make it up. There's rules there. There's guidelines. We have what's in place, a standing board development committee. The board development committee role is to look at the individuals nominated for international board seats and make the selection and recommendation process of who should fill those seats, whether that's a regular board member or a chair officer like the finance chair or the chair-elect. Right. What the governance rules say is if the chair-elect steps down, any board member, international board member, in good standing can be nominated for that position. Right. They can raise their hand and actually nominate themselves. So we went through that. We went through a nomination process. The nominations were then reviewed by the international board, who made a recommendation. And honestly, between me, one person raised their hand, which is
someone who the MPI community may find familiar.
Yes, they will. So that recommendation, endorsed by the board, went to the board development committee. Yep. They had an online scoring. They went through the whole process as if this was the full approach to selecting a new chair. That person bubbled right to the top, unanimous decision. They were endorsed. So they are now the nominated chair-elect for 2020.
Right.
That goes with the official slate November 1st to the community for final endorsement. So technically it's not quite official.
Right.
But the person, drum roll, is Steve O'Malley, our current chair.
Yes.
Which is so exciting. He's done a great job, and it just provides for consistency in our strategic direction, the communication, and frankly, it's a tough role to come up to. So to have someone start from scratch in 30 days and take it on would have been really hard, right? So he's there, he's in place. I thank him, his wife, and his kids for letting him do this, because it's a big ask. It's a volunteer role. Right. The paycheck stinks. You get a lot of love out of it. Yeah. But we're really excited for that. I thank David Peckinpah and the Merits organization, because it's a big ask for a senior executive. Right. So it's great for all of us. It's great all around. I don't know if it's great for Steve, but we are so excited.
And then Amanda Armstrong's going to stay on.
So the governance rules then say there's not a nomination process for the past chair. When that spot becomes open, and this became open because Steve is no longer going to be past chair, you immediately ask the current past chair if they would like to continue for a year. Right. If they would, that's an elegant solution. In this case, Amanda was very kind to say, yes, I will do that. She talked to her organization, and Enterprise agreed as well. So it's worked out beautifully, and we'll have a consistent leadership for 2 years.
And Amanda's been doing some great work. I saw her earlier today leading a hot topic on gender equality and things like that. So it's exciting to have her staying on as well.
Amanda's been an incredibly valuable volunteer leader for Meetings Professional International. She's actually she's the only board member who's been on the board as long as I have. So we came on at the same time. We've been together. So I'm excited that she's staying around. Yeah. But it's not just MPI. She's active throughout the industry. Everything. She gives back in so many ways, driving a lot of the diversity and inclusion initiatives, a lot of the women leadership initiatives. So it's great to have her. She's prominent. She's passionate. She loves MPI, and to keep her in that role is great for us.
Yeah, I'm very excited. So tell us more about what's coming up with MPI. Like, what else is coming down the pipe? We actually had Christy Casey Sanders on yesterday talking with Dustin Wessling from ILEA's board of directors about the new partnership there. So we heard a lot about that. What's the future of MPI look like?
Well, you made a reference there, which I'll start with, and I'll step back from it. But one of the commitments we've made strategically is we need to support this industry in the best way possible. And the most sensible way to expand our reach, because we don't have unlimited resources, is to partner. We've been on a path the last 3 or 4 years to find industry partners who want to work together, who has different assets that we can be complementary to each other, and we can expand the reach of those, and we can accelerate the impact on the industry. And we've launched a number of great partnerships over the last few years. The latest one is what you just referenced with ILEA. So we're going to have a joint educational partnership. We think that may lead to maybe some bigger potential things. But coming out of the gates, we think it's going to be fantastic. So we're excited by that. You mentioned Christy Sanders. Christy's been leading for us a core part of our strategic plan right now. What we are looking at is we've got about 18,000 members. We have about 60,000 individuals in our community. It's people who in some way partake with an MPI activity during the year. Go to one of our events, online course, go to chapter events. So 60,000 people. Historically, we've kind of come at it as a homogenous association. This is who we are. Come get what you want, and we move on. We're trying to really create a tailored personal experience for our members and the overall community. And we're doing that by looking at really 2 elements. One are, what are the different career paths or vertical paths that an individual is interested in, either today or in the future. So we're creating learning tracks like a financial planner, a administrative assistant who's going to be a planner, a healthcare planner. So we have 7 of those built out, and Christy's doing it, and she's continuing to build out value tracks. And then across those are interest groups that you may want to partake in or participate with, whether that's an LGBT group, whether it's a social issue like human trafficking, whether it's diversity and inclusion. So the way I correlate it, it's like it's going to a university. When I enroll in the university, I sign up in this big, giant organization. The first thing I do is I pick a major. So that could be one of my industry-specific verticals. Or I pick 2 majors or a major and 2 minors, so I can mix it up and I can change it every year. I can do multiple. I can sit in one and just test it. And then I get involved with other personal or social issues. I join a intramural team. I join a fraternity or sorority. I join a religious association. That's our special interest areas. So we really want to tailor it like a full-on university. And in some ways, we're like a miniature university or community college for industry. We taught almost 50,000 hours of education last year to 8,000 people. Like half of those. Yeah, maybe. So we're trying to really tailor that experience.
And I think that's a really good analogy, because I think when we talk about, especially for me, coming from the side of, I was doing some implementation, I work with planners, I do work with suppliers, so I'm kind of like in this gray area in the middle, and someone goes, well, are you a planner or a supplier? I'm like,
or you're an educator in your case.
An educator? Right? Yeah. I'm like, everything? I don't know. So it's nice that you can try different things, find out what works for you. And the interest groups are great too. As a small business, that's an interest group. So I love that cater education to really everyone.
So interesting. Small business, we're not sure what to call it. So we've created it as a vertical, but is it a special interest group? It's kind of both. But that's a great example. And that we launched that after the commission cuts. We reached out to the small business community, said, how can we help you? And it was like, give us some education, help us run a small business. And what we realized very quickly is our membership is actually a majority, it's small business owners.
Oh, no, I don't feel so bad.
No, it's fantastic. This morning, one of our members, Eric Rosenberg, was doing a booth session on what it takes to run a small business, and it was standing room only. You couldn't get in the booth. It is such of high need and high interest to our community. They're great planners, or they're great hoteliers, or they're great salespeople, and they hang their own shingle, and they don't know the nuts and bolts of the business side, right? So,
no, I think that's great. So there was another announcement made this morning, and that was about your European conference. Tell us that news.
Yeah, so we usually announce at the next European conference, where we're going the next year. So we're ahead of,
the
calendar this year. Really feels really good. But we're there because of what to me is our most important strategic partner. We've been a partner with IMEX for 9 years now. Yep. IMEX happens to be headquartered, the IMEX group, in a beautiful seaside village called Brighton, England. It's about 50 miles south of London. And between IMEX and Visit Brighton Group, we've created a partnership where we're going to be bringing on European Meeting and Event Congress.
So we're going to IMEX, their home turf.
Yep.
Awesome.
So IMEX obviously will be very involved. It happens to be our UK chapter leader is an IMEX employee. So it's a lot going on there.
Awesome.
We couldn't be more thrilled, and it just continues to strengthen our partnership with IMEX.
Great. And if anyone wants more information about MPI and what's going on, where can they find that information?
MPI.org. Thank
you.
Great. Great to have people come online. Even more importantly, if they see things online and want to just learn a little more, we've got 70 chapters and 20 clubs around the world. Show up an event, get to know people, and you'll learn more about us.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like there's a lot going on. There's definitely more to talk about in the future. So we'll definitely have to have you on again. But thank you, Paul, for joining us.
Great to be here.
We'll be right back with our next guest.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex.